Live? I think we are live. Hello. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle, the wrestling video podcast I run over here on YouTube.com. It's still /UC Campbell at this point in time, but we have made the changes over to making the change to the GodSaw. So I'm working on the URL at this moment in time on that one. But for this week's episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle, it's gonna be not real. There wasn't not really too much going to it. We are gonna go through Raw, Smackdown, and NXT. Plus, we're gonna go through a little bit of some of the other news that was going around throughout the week, which there wasn't really much. Today, or earlier this morning, for people in the U.S., was Sakura Genesis from New Japan Pro Wrestling. I have watched a little bit of it. I was trying to watch it live. I was kind of in and out throughout the entire show. I did get to watch the entire match of Marty Scurll going up against Will Ospreay. I'll go off and say that was a pretty good match. I will say off the top of my head, it was a pretty good match on that side. I'm still not fully sold on Will Ospreay. I respect the aspect of his athletic ability. You also see like a subtle change in his pace in the terms of the matches and everything on that side as well. That he's going from more than just a fast-paced go for spot, go for spot, go for spot, go for spot, and he's doing more storytelling inside the ring. And you see that here. I think it's just an aspect that I'm trying to be sold a little bit more on Will Ospreay at this point in time. Like I said, I definitely can say his match with Marty Scurll was a really, really good match. On that side to go along with it, I think they just, like, certain things take me out of the flow of a Will Ospreay match at this point in time. For one, his finisher, I don't buy it. I don't buy the finisher that he has. That springboard cutter just, much like the springboard stunner from Cena, it looks cool, but looks heavily contrived. Like, it doesn't seem like it should fit, and they don't have a good setup for it yet. So that's just kind of how I feel about that portion of it. The spot in the match, though, great storytelling in the terms of going after Will Ospreay's neck throughout the entire match with Marty Scurll. Doing the tombstone, I guess to me, doing a tombstone pile driver on the outside of the ring should end the match. Done. It's over at that point in time. But overall, like I said, I felt like they were telling a pretty decent story inside of that match, and I thought that one came off pretty good. Other matches I got to see in full. Other matches I got to see in full were the Golden Lovers, which are Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega going up against Hangman Page and Cody. Again, another really good tag team match here. Also, to talk about the Will Ospreay Marty Scurll match, because this spot scared the crap out of me when I saw it. I believe they were trying to do a Spanish fly where they would land on the outside of the ring, and like Will Ospreay landed on the ring apron, like on his neck, and it was very scary. It was one of those moments of like, how are you still moving? He even busted his head open on that one. Like I said, this was a pretty insane match, and that spot itself is like, that might be a little too dangerous. I don't know. But like I said, the story of that match as well, like Marty Scurll continually going after the neck, Will Ospreay trying to do everything he can to beat Marty Scurll for the first time in a one-on-one match. I thought they did some good stuff there. Not completely sold on Will Ospreay yet. So that's just personal opinion on that one. I know I'll catch a little bit of flack for that, but I'm okay with that. But the Golden Lovers with Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi going up against Cody and Hangman Page. I thought that was another really good tag team match. Somewhere in the match, Cody, I guess, caught a knee or a strike as well, and he got himself busted open like right above his eye. Pretty sick looking cut that he got off of that one. They didn't really play much of it off of it afterwards on that, but you know, they had some little story tidbits in there. People were kind of wondering what the Young Bucks were gonna do based off of what happened at Strong Style Evolved, on that side of everything. And they do end up showing up in the match itself as well, not to really do anything physically, to kind of go out there and you just see Cody's like, what are you guys doing out here? And then you see the Bucks, they're just there. And they start arguing. You have them going like, look at what this has become to. We're supposed to, like, Bullet Club's supposed to be a family. So it's like continuing on this Bullet Club dissension and people either being with Cody or being with Kenny to a certain degree. And you have a couple of them inside of there, which I believe are some of the other Bullet Club members that are kind of just in the middle, not really taking a side one way or the other, where you kind of had the Bucks leaning towards Kenny, but they kind of have an allegiance with Cody as well, and trying to bring the Bullet Club back together as a whole. But you have others that are kind of just like, we're not dealing with this, and we're going to still be Bullet Club, but we're going to go out here and do our own thing to go along with it. Hangman Page is like firmly with Cody. Marty Scurll's kind of there, but I think they're doing something where he's backing away from Cody at this point in time as well. But overall, really, really good match on that side of everything. And yeah, I mean, there's still more that I've got to watch with the Sakura Genesis as it is. I need to go back and watch the entire main event again, because again, like, really early in the morning, so I'm trying to do everything I can to stay up during those on that side. Now, Grant, we've always had this luxury, and being in the U.S. is like when the big shows are coming on, it's like, oh, it's easy to stay up because it's this, because it's over here and the timings are always kind of perfect. A little bit different with New Japan Pro Wrestling, because, you know, day difference, day and a half kind of difference. So most of the times they don't air until like early in the morning for us over here on the West Coast, on West Coast time. I'm in Arizona, so I'm technically in West Coast time at this point in time. So they come on really early in the morning. So I was kind of passing out like here and there throughout the entire main event to go along with it. So before I really judge that main event, I'm gonna probably have to go back and watch the entire thing again at some point in time, which I probably will sometime this week to go along with it. But from what I was seeing with Zack Sabre Jr. and Okada, looked like it was some really good stuff, and I kind of would expect nothing less from both of them at this point in time, because all the matches I've seen from both of them over the last like months that I've been kind of branching myself out a little bit more and watching a little bit more, especially with New Japan Pro Wrestling and some other things. I was watching Impact Wrestling for the longest period of time, but I kind of stopped watching that. Kind of want to get back into it a little bit though, and just see how things are playing out over there at this point in time. But yeah, so that's one little piece of the news going on this week that's, you know, not WWE related or anything on that side. We tried to talk about a little bit more that's not just the WWE side of everything over here to go along with it. But for other news that was going on in WWE throughout the week, so there was a lot of things that were kind of minor news and everything on that side. They did have a little piece that kind of has been getting fans a little bit worried, but they're kind of not. They continued on with this whole thing about, you know, what was AJ's injury from a couple weeks ago? Is he going to miss Mania? It looks like he's not going to miss Mania, but it looked like it was like a minor MCL injury, and they're kind of, you know, holding him back a little bit so he doesn't, so we can have the Mania match. And it looks like they're going to have him cleared by that time anyway, to go along with it. And based off of SmackDown, he's probably already cleared to go. they're just holding him off on matches for the time being, for the purposes of not taking any chances at this time. Other thing that went really weird this week was that Charlotte was down with an injury, and actually they had to remove her for this week from the Mixed Match Challenge, and they replaced her with a fan vote, which ended up being Becky Lynch. We'll talk about that match with the whole SmackDown side of everything to go along with it. To go along with everything on that one. So, yeah, that was an interesting one. So that, it was interesting because it cut, like 2 weeks out from Mania, she's supposed to have her match with Asuka, where a lot of people are looking forward to that particular match. And all of a sudden she's down with an injury. And it ended up being a dental surgery that she went through. They didn't go into like specifics or anything on that side, but it was some kind of dental or mouth type surgery that happened last week, and they obviously were not going to clear her for SmackDown, but it looks like she'll be good to go by the time of WrestleMania, so shouldn't really be affecting those particular matches. I feel like it's one of those things. It's like, oh, it's just a couple weeks away, and all of a sudden, this is happening to the matches that we'll go off and say a lot of the hardcore wrestling fans are wanting to see at WrestleMania, especially like with AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura. I want to see that match again. I've got, like I said, I have watched their New Japan match that they had at Wrestle Kingdom before both of them came over to the WWE in 2016, which was a really good match. So we're looking forward to having another one with them, getting it, you know, especially getting it with the factor of it being with the WWE title, one of WWE's main belts, and on the big show of WrestleMania to go along with it. We want to see that match, and we want it to be really good. And same goes for Asuka and Charlotte as well. A lot of us, when it comes down to matches for Asuka, she has not had a match with Charlotte yet, and Charlotte's been a big name in the women's division. So and she didn't even have a match with her down in NXT to go along with that. So looking forward to those matches, and it's like scare moment for all those sides of everything. So that kind of happened through kind of over the last couple weeks, but kind of this week and kind of last week to go along with it. Other pieces of news, apparently some, these are kind of like smaller aspects, though one's a little bit bigger. On the smaller side of everything, like there's a betting site out there that's giving a 99% chance that The Rock is going to appear at WrestleMania. And as you know, they have betting odds and everything for WWE matches. Like, who bets on them? I don't know, but people apparently do. I make predictions on the cards, especially the pay-per-views, but I don't make a but by any means I do not bet on those particular matches that I'm predicting. I've been very bad at those over the last number of weeks and months, though I did pretty good at the Rumble. That's probably one of the few that I did really good at. So they're giving him a 99% chance of showing up at Mania, so okay, The Rock's going to appear in some way. What will he end up doing? A lot of people are kind of thinking it'll be Elias or something to go along with that, or to play along with that. Like, Elias won't necessarily be in the tag match. He'll be doing a like a little concert thing, probably gets interrupted by The Rock or something to go along with that. The other piece of news, which is kind of big just on the aspect of where people kind of go about it, and you know, this is a little bit different, is that apparently some talks had been done with WWE and a potential return of Hulk Hogan to the company. Now, as many people know, based off of what had happened with the leaking of that sex tape and the words that he said and everything to go along with it, WWE got rid of Hulk Hogan many years ago. Matter of fact, it was mid-season of Tough Enough, that Tough Enough season, that Hogan was a judge, and they just gone. He was just gone. After everything went down with the whole Gawker situation and everything to go along with that. And there's a lot going around. It's like, is it time? Is it a good time? Is it this? Is it that? Do they feel like Hogan's kind of paid his pittance? Most people are kind of saying no, because he doesn't really do anything publicly based off of the, heinous words that he was saying during that time frame, and everything that go along with that. Again, I'm not really going to give my opinion on this side of everything. I have my opinion, but we'll leave it as... you can think what you want to think about Hulk Hogan on that one. In the terms of him coming back to the company, the talks would be that he would be speaking with superstars about the mistakes that he had made, and maybe trying to atone or something like that. Hopefully he would be doing some kind of community service or something on that side to kind of rebuild him, but there's no real word of what he's done publicly. Now, for all we know, privately, he could be doing things like that and just hasn't really put it out there. But publicly, there's a lot of things that would probably need to be going down. One would be an apology for what he had said. On that side of everything, he would, that would be the least that he could do at that point in time, is say an apology for, the racist stuff he had said, everything on that side, to go along with it. But there would have to be some kind of, I would figure there would be some kind of community service or something else that he would have to do to go along with it, more than just an apology. And then maybe he could come back, be brought back into the company. It wouldn't cause a big media type of uproar, kind of like what ended up happening when they named the Women's Battle Royal initially, the Fabulous Moolah Battle Royal, and then they had to kind of take it away, because take that name off of there, and they called it the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal now, because of the allegations and everything that was going on with Fabulous Moolah during her career, and what she had done to students and other women's wrestlers at the time, and everything to go along with that. So that would just cause another have uproar to go along with it. So you kind of imagine that they won't bring him back in, at least contractually, and they even have gone out off and said it's he's not with us contractually. We're just kind of in talks and seeing where things are at and everything to go along with it. So they're just kind of gauging everything. I don't think they're going to be bringing him back in. And honestly, at this point in time, if they were to bring him back on camera, I don't know what purpose he would serve. He couldn't have a match. And it doesn't really seem like they would want to put him as a manager for anybody as well. So, I don't see a purpose of truthfully bringing him back in, unless they're really going on the aspect that they're bringing him back in as a person who can talk with the other superstars and trying to help them not make the same mistakes that he had made. And, what it's done and everything on that side. And, is this an aspect of, has he truthfully changed? Did he go with his is he still kind of the same person who said those words and everything to go along with that, or has things made that 180? Who knows at that time? All we know is that at the least he would need to make some kind of public apology, which we really haven't seen yet. We all know what ended up happening with the whole Gawker situation and the whole lawsuit that went along with it. And we haven't really heard much from Hogan since. So, I don't know. I don't know at this point in time. So, getting away from news and depressing style of news as well, to go along with it, let's get into the week that was, we'll just say the week that was WWE. So, let's go ahead and just start it off. Monday Night Raw for March the 26th, 2018. The show starts off with Lesnar basically coming out with Heyman and everything on that side. They've kind of gotten away from this whole aspect of Lesnar not caring about WWE and everything on that, which kind of is a little bit disappointing, because I was liking where they were going with the storyline. So Heyman basically starts off the promo by saying that you know, Roman's suspension is lifted, but he won't be here because of the beating. It's like he starts kind of running him down. He even makes an explanation of what had happened. Why is Roman not arrested? Because apparently Lesnar and Heyman went to the local MMA area to get 3 guys that could look like U.S. Marshals, dress them as U.S. Marshals, and put them out there to get Roman in that situation to go along with it. It's a little contrived, I know, but that's what they went with. So I guess that kind of explains the whole aspect of him not being arrested for attacking federal officers, I guess. So they, they're calling Roman a coward, everything on that side of everything, saying that he would not be man enough, A, to show up in the arena, B, to take that Universal title away from Brock Lesnar. Roman, of course, shows up in the crowd. This starts a brawl from both of them. Roman's still selling the beating from the week before, which was pretty good. Like, he would swing a chair shot, but kind of stumble around. Like, he would swing the chair, hit Lesnar, stumble around, and then he would do it again. And then he goes off to run at Lesnar to do a Superman punch on the outside and gets suplexed for it, and basically gets beaten down again afterwards, which ends out gets beaten down with the stairs, gets beaten down with a chair, which eventually ends Lesnar ends everything with coming back into the ring, hitting an F5 to Roman on the stairs and kind of leaving him blind once again. Not bad stuff. Like I said, I've been liking where they've been going. This is kind of a little detour of where they had been going. I really wish they would continue on this whole aspect that Lesnar doesn't care about WWE or anything on that side, and just like is what he is to go along with it. But they are kind of straying away from that one at this point in time. Up next, afterwards, we had Nia Jax and Mickie James. Decent enough match. Nia Jax goes over. They do try to play up, Mickie James trying to go after Nia's knee throughout the match to try, take her out of her game and everything on that side. But eventually, Mickie James does go down with a Samoan drop. Like I said, good match. Good enough match on that side. They do play off later after the match that Alexa tries to come in and attack Nia Jax to no effect, and basically runs off. So I do like that Nia Jax is initially doing this. Like, Alexa just ran up to the rampway and they were initially just staring down at each other, but now Nia is like, instead of just sitting there in the ring or sitting there outside like she did, or like with the week before, she stood there initially and then it's like, what, screw it, I'm going after her and chase her off into the back. She did that again here this week. I do like certain things that they're going along with this. Up next, you had a video package on Stephanie McMahon and Triple H. Basically, they're showing their training program, showing like the midnight training sessions that they have, and basically going off on like everything with Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey. Triple H calls Kurt an idiot for forcing this situation, saying how embarrassing it's going to be, not for Kurt, but for Ronda to go into WrestleMania and end out losing that match with Stephanie and everything on that side. But they said this, like, what we'll do afterwards, we'll bring her up, dust her off, repackage her. They're playing this like authority type snobbish area. They're trying to build them up as like these super athletes and everything to go along with it, based off their training program and everything. And I thought it came off pretty good, honestly. It was a good video package. It really was. And it played up a little bit later on with what you saw with Kurt Angle and Ronda in the ring. And just basically everything that they played off of it. I thought it came off pretty good. Up next, you have Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander going up against Drew Gulak and TJP in a Cruiserweight Tag Team match, which this is the first time in quite some time they've had the Cruiserweights on Monday Night Raw. I think they're trying to, get a few more eyes on the whole Cruiserweight title area. And, you know, you had Drake Maverick at commentary. And that's what they were kind of trying to do here. I thought they put on a pretty decent match. You had Mustafa Ali and and Cedric Alexander go over in the match, which I thought was a pretty good match. Got some decent high flying in there. Not much in the terms of story being fully told. You see more of that on the 205 Live side of everything, which has been apparently doing really good. Has been doing better in the ratings on the terms of the WWE Network as well, since they've kind of switched it from where they're doing more talk and all this kind of stuff, and then bringing in the whole action with the whole Cruiserweight tournament, and having Drake Maverick being the general manager on the show as well. Been doing pretty good on the terms of people watching it, watching that tournament and everything going into WrestleMania, which is the Cruiserweight title tournament finale. Whether it's going to be on the main card or the pre-show card is still left to be determined. I'm kind of hoping it shows up on the main card, because I feel like they could put on a really good match on WrestleMania's main card, and it would be a lot of fun to watch at that point in time. That's just a personal opinion to go along with that. I hope to see that on there to go along with everything. But yeah, basically the story was, how was Cedric Alexander and Ali going to work together? Their opponents in Mania. They do work together, but Ali tags in and takes the win after Cedric had hit the lumbar check. He hits the reverse 450 and picks up the victory. So kind of playing one-upsmanship to go along with that. And I do like how Cedric kind of played off of it as well, like he was... it's like, okay, you got me on this one. Okay, that's cool. I'm going to get you on the next one type of play. So I liked where they were going with that. So this brings us to what was, I thought, a really, really, really good Miz TV segment. So Miz TV this week, they were basically like, they were in his hometown. They were in Cleveland, and I like how he starts off the portion of it is like, I live in LA now. Because they're chanting welcome back, everything on that side is like, I live in LA now, and immediate boost. And of course, he starts kind of running down everything, and like how he's a top list, A-list guy and everything to go along with it. Kind of runs down Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel a little bit to go along with this. And I love the timing. So Miz is getting to a point that he's like, and then all of a sudden you just hear Bo Dallas go like, a phony A-lister who can't fight. And it's like, what? And it's like, oh, okay, maybe we're going to get a turn. So you have Seth Rollins come out, everything to go along with all that, and he starts egging it on a little bit. And then eventually Finn Balor comes in, and I love how Finn Balor plays it off. He was like, I heard exactly what he said. It's like, oh, you're the biggest jerk that he's ever seen in his life, or something to go along with it. And started like doing the whole egging it on to make Bo Dallas say it again, which he ends out saying it again, that whole bit. And it was really well done. I love how Miz actually played it off as like, you see what they're trying to do. They're trying to turn us against each other here, as I'm about to become the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. I'll be better than Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho, Mr. Perfect. And that makes Axel kind of freeze like, and then you see like Miz just go like, that slipped, I'm sorry, man. And then it ended out being a ploy, and Axel and Dallas attack Finn Balor and Seth Rollins. The club comes down and basically gets rid of them, leaving Finn Balor and Rollins to be to fight the Miz. They kind of get rid of him for a bit and chase him off initially, and then Balor grabs the Intercontinental title, and then Rollins takes it from him. The Miz comes back in, they get rid of him again, and then Balor lays out Seth Rollins to basically be the last one standing and having the Intercontinental title at that point in time. It was a good segment. It was a very entertaining segment leading into that triple threat match for the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. So, good stuff. Up next was a promo from Kane on his match with John Cena, how he was going to send him straight to hell. That's basically what he said in this one. In a more articulate way as well. We'll leave it at that. Kane has become very, very articulate with his promos. Like, he's almost Shakespeare-esque with it at times. But yeah, that was basically his promo. They basically announced it as a no disqualification match at that point in time as well. So they have things that they play off of that to go along with everything. Up next, you had Asuka going up against Jamie Frost. This was a really quick match. You had Jamie Frost basically say it was like, oh, this is my first match, so Asuka's not going to be ready for me, and I feel like I could handle her. And she does get like a few hits in. Asuka's gives that smile on her face, and then just one kick and done. So basically squash match, not much point to it. But apparently with Charlotte being out this week, they couldn't really do anything with her and Charlotte, so she ended up being on Raw this week and not doing anything on SmackDown. Up next, and this is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting because Cole is kind of playing like what he had done a long time ago when he was like a big supporter of The Miz as a commentator. That he's kind of doing this thing where he's calling the Woken Matt stuff obnoxious. He warned everybody last week and apologized before they watched the Ultimate Deletion. I love how Corey Graves is like defending everything for the Ultimate Deletion to go along with it. You know where this needs to go. Everyone knows where this needs to go. It needs, even if it's not a thing that like gets rid of Michael Cole from commentary, because actually I've been kind of digging his commentary recently. Like, he feels like he's having more fun with it on everything that they do. It's like him teaming up with Corey Graves and Booker T for a while, and even Coach to go along with this as well. It seems like they're having fun with the commentary. Like, they're keeping to the stories and everything on that side, but they feel like they're a little bit looser and they're able to kind of go off and do what they need to do to make it, make the stories that they're telling as well about the matches entertaining and kind of playing off in certain cases. Like, you have Corey Graves, who doesn't like Elias, but like Coach and Michael Cole love Elias. And it's like you have them kind of playing a little bit different roles where they're not necessarily the babyface or the heel. They're just kind of saying what they like and what they don't like to go along with it. So they're playing the reverse role here where like Woken Matt, like Cole doesn't get it, everything on that side, calls it obnoxious, and he's even playing off as like he's mocking it a bit, while Corey Graves is completely defending the entire aspect of everything of the Woken universe, or the broken universe in this case, to go along with it. This needs to end in a deletion of Michael Cole. Basically, if you're going to have Cole do this, there's going to need to be a payoff. And I would love it if they would do something like, for the next deletion or something like that, where they can set up a trapdoor, and as they're going to it, you can have Michael Cole get lowered into the trapdoor, and he gets teleported to the Hardy compound. He has to commentate the match live from the Hardy compound. It would be great stuff. I think it would be personally fun, and it kind of does need to. If they're gonna go that route and have them do this, why not? I mean, they're even playing it off that Woken Matt has Vanguard 1, keeping an eye on Michael Cole at this point in time, and it's so silly, but it's so good. It's one of those bits. It's everybody kind of knows that it's crazy silly, and it's really, really good. This is followed by a Woken Matt promo. Basically him, playing off everything from the Ultimate Deletion, how he had deleted Bray Wyatt. He's completely gone, at least for the time being, and that he is now going to be focusing on other aspects. And he says it basically in the every way that he could with the Woken universe. I can't say it word for word because it's one of those bits he kind of talks a little bit backwards, but basically announcing himself into the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And like I said, I thought it was good stuff. Again, I actually dug Raw this week. I thought it was pretty good. Maybe some of the settings were a little bit weird, but for the most part, it was a pretty interesting Raw in the terms of, maybe not in the terms of fully setting up for WrestleMania, but in the terms of just being fun to go along with it. For the most part, like, Raw didn't really deliver a lot of massive storyline. Maybe they're waiting for, you know, the last Raw before WrestleMania to go along with it. But overall, I thought it was a very entertaining show this week. So this leads us, after the whole Woken Matt stuff, this leads us to Bayley and Sasha Banks. So you have Bayley backstage. She's kind of just hanging around, apparently in a locker room that was kind of set up there. It's not like the typical, it almost felt like it was a school locker room versus like their dressing locker room or anything to go along with that. Or like a team locker room or anything to go on that side. So they did have them, you know, there, or they had her standing there, and then Sasha comes in, says, it's like, okay, I got your text. Bayley's like, okay, cool, that's all I needed to say, that she was going to be in the Battle Royal. And then she doesn't really want to speak with Sasha much about it. So Sasha's trying to play it off as like, okay, we're not really going to talk about this at all? Really? And then they kind of continue on with the argument, this whole aspect that is like, you have Sasha, who would prefer Bayley to just be passive-aggressive about everything, and just be passive and not really, and put Sasha before everyone else, and everything to go along with that. And Bayley eventually goes to leave. And they're playing this off, again, this is not necessarily a heel turn, but they're doing little subtle things to be heelish on both sides. Both of them are, of course, arguing, so that's kind of heelish to go along with it. But the thing is that every time Sasha attacks Bayley, it's always from behind. So Bayley turns her back to go to leave and starts walking off. Sasha, you know, just in anger based off of everything that had been going on, it's not necessarily a full heel turn, grabs Bayley and shoves her right into the locker room. They start brawling all over the place. So we finally get the whole brawl between the both of them. They start fighting around. They eventually get separated by the refs. I thought it was good stuff. The setting was a little weird. We'll leave it at that. But their stuff, in the terms of the storytelling between Sasha and Bayley, it's simple, yet it's complex, because they're using little details to make the complexities of the storyline, such as the Elimination Chamber, where Sasha, yes, does attack Bayley in a situation where it's every woman for herself, but she grabs her hand and then kicks her off and then smirks and smiles. They add little complexities about that. That's the thing that doesn't necessarily, that's the thing that is setting off Bayley to go along with that. And of course, Sasha getting insulted by Bayley, basically saying, it's like she's a 4-time women's champion. But Bayley's like, yeah, but how long have you kept it? Things like that. They're using little nuances like that, which is making it a good story. Setting it up for, obviously not a Mania match between the two of them in a one-on-one, because both of them are in the Battle Royal now, but setting up for something after the Battle Royal. So they'll be interesting to see what they do with them in the Battle Royal to go along with it. Up next, we had... What's up? How you doing today? Okay, I get the name on that one. I won't say the name, but I get it. How's it going? We got somebody in the chat here for the live stream on that one for a brief, at least for a brief moment. If they stick around, that will be really cool as well. So this brings us actually to Braun Strowman and what is also going to be Braun Strowman versus Sheamus. Sheamus like Cesaro and Sheamus basically come out, they cut a promo saying they want to know who his tag team partner is. They need to know who his tag team partner is because apparently Strowman has one, but he's not saying anything to go along with it. And he's like, Strowman's like, okay, I'll tell you who my tag partner is if he can beat me. This led to the match, which was a good enough match between the both of them. They had Sheamus kind of work over the leg for a little bit, which kind of slows down Strowman for a decent portion of the match, but eventually ends up getting caught with a big power slam. So we don't find out who his tag team partner is now. Maybe we find out Monday, or maybe we find out at Mania. It'll be interesting to see who it is. I kind of hope, to a certain degree, that it's Elias, though there's a lot of other rumors that are going out there. The whole aspect of maybe bringing James Ellsworth back and having it go full circle with him you know, with the storyline of James Ellsworth and Braun Strowman, they feel like Strowman says, like, I don't really need a tag team partner, and picking James Ellsworth is like picking nobody to him. But there's also things like potential Samoa Joe if he returns, Rey Mysterio, Elias, a lot of different other people that go along with that. And it would be interesting to see where they go along with it. Personally, I wouldn't mind Elias at this point in time. I personally would not mind Elias. So this leads to a segment with Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle comes out, and basically he brings out Ronda Rousey, who starts cutting a promo. She goes from that extremely happy to be out there and everything to the mean face look really, really well and really, really quick. And she basically, I like how she runs down everything with Stephanie. It's like that she's personal trainer tough. She's this type tough. She's not real tough and everything to go along with that. This does actually, while they're doing the promo, bring out Absolution. And Absolution's like, you know what you really need? You need friends. And I like how Ronda's like, dude, I've got an Olympic gold medalist at my 6. I'm good. It's like, I'm good right now. But they want her to join. She refuses. She sicks Sonya Deville and Mandy on Ronda, which they end up failing. You get Ronda, who throws Mandy Rose into Sonya Deville after clotheslining Sonya Deville. And I like how afterwards they were playing it up where she was, they were celebrating getting rid of Absolution. Mandy Rose comes back in. She does, like, she just flips her over, throws her over, and then takes her into, like, almost an armbar type situation. You have Mandy Rose just begging, and then Kurt Angle's like, don't. Please don't. And you just have Ronda like, I want to break her arm. I just want to break her arm. That's all I want to do. It's good stuff. Like I said, I've been liking how they've been presenting Ronda over the last so many times that she's been on Raw. They kind of play her off as extremely happy to be there, but knows when to go into serious mode. So all of a sudden you see like smile on her face to like mean face to go along with it. And it's been pretty good. It'll be interesting to see how that match plays off. I feel like we'll be seeing a lot of Triple H and Kurt in that one because Ronda's just really started her wrestling side of the training. I don't think they would have her doing too much yet. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that mixed tag plays off at Mania at this point in time. So we'll see how that one goes. Up next, you had Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows going up against Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel. This match was fine. Not really much to this. It was just playing off a little bit from earlier where, you know, the club came out. They got rid of Axel and Dallas. Tag match made. Gallows and Anderson go over. Like I said, thought the match was fine, but nothing more really to it. Stumbling over everything there for a brief moment. So up next after that, you had Elias. He was in the ring basically talking about how disappointed he was being in Cleveland, starts singing and talking about how LeBron James is going to be leaving them again and all that, everything to go along with it. Elias is so good at just doing what he needs to do to get a reaction, to get the reaction he wants to go along with it. This does eventually, his song does eventually get interrupted by Rhino, which Elias does bring up of potentially being Strowman's partner as well. for Mania in his song briefly. So afterwards, Rhino comes out, interrupts. They come back from break. Elias has a match with Rhino. Decent enough match. Elias goes over in the Elias does go over in the end, beating Rhino with a drift away, and then he does the exact same thing to Slater after the match. So this brings us to the main event of the night, which was John Cena going up against Kane in a no DQ match. This is a decent match. This was a pretty good no disqualification match. So they do brawl around the arena. They use the one of the guardrails at one point to have Kane suplex Cena onto it, like bending and everything. They played off of the no DQ rule pretty decently. I thought it was pretty good. Towards the end of the match, you see Cena kind of start doing Undertaker things, such as sitting up and doing a choke slam, doing the whole cut the throat to go along with it, and playing off of like trying to egg on the Undertaker a little bit more. Eventually, Cena picks up the victory with an AA through a table over Kane, and then basically he's like continues calling out the Undertaker. He even plays it off of the aspect is like, this was a no DQ match. Anyone and everyone could have been here, yet he's not here, and he just wants Undertaker to do something, anything, who knows. Calls him a coward, everything on that side, basically saying things in a disrespectful light to the Undertaker. And, he starts walking up the ramp while he tries to roll his eyes up above his head. I can't do it either. Tries doing that. Doesn't. It looked a little weird when Cena was doing it, but it was what it was. And they're playing off going into next week's Monday Night Raw, where more than likely the Undertaker shows up. I don't know. It would be interesting if they even just have the Undertaker even show up on Monday Night Raw, or do they play it all the way into WrestleMania where he just shows up at Mania? Who knows? Who knows where they go along with this or anything to go along with that. So that was Monday Night Raw. I thought it was a pretty good show this week. Did it really have much in the terms of the overall narrative? I don't think so, but as a standalone show, it was actually kind of good. So let's roll into Smackdown for March the 27th, 2018. I don't know why I keep forgetting dates and everything on that side, but I do. And again, this was actually a fairly decent Smackdown as well. And everything kind of got played off to go along with it. And we did have a change to one of the WrestleMania matches, which kind of interesting. Before we fully go into SmackDown, kind of interesting note. So Cena and Undertaker are not officially made yet. More than likely it does get made. But here's the thing. Before Cena and Undertaker, there's like another 13 matches already booked. So I'm assuming 3 of them is going to be on the pre-show. 3, if not 4, at this point in time for the pre-show. And then you're going to have the main card that's going to have another 10. So it's going to be another long WrestleMania. We'll just leave it at that. Now, in the terms of wrestling show length, which I guess I'll talk about that one a little bit. In the terms of wrestling show length, the 2 shows that I don't really like, I feel like wrestling shows have been going on for a lot longer, especially with the aspect of some of the pay-per-views as of late have been going over the 3-hour time limit, or the not time limit, but time mark, where most of the time they would always be 2 hours 45 minutes and everything on that side. But that was back also when Raw was only 2 hours and SmackDown was only 2 hours, and then you would get a 3-hour show. Now you have Raw that's 3 hours and it goes over that a good chunk of the time. SmackDown that's only 2, and then now the pay-per-views have been going like this 3.5, almost 4 hours in some cases, that weren't necessarily just the big shows. Like the big shows like SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Rumble are at about, on the main card are about 4 hours, and they have a 2-hour pre-show, so they're about 6 hours now. I feel like the only 2 shows of the year, at least at this point in time, because I'll even give this little trope about New Japan to go along with this, are WrestleMania and Wrestle Kingdom. Those are the ones that probably should go over that 3-hour area. Maybe it's okay that you go over the 4-hour area as well, because they're kind of, what is it? It's like going to a music festival. Music festivals go on for hours and hours and hours. Most of the time when you just go to concerts to get bands and everything on that side, you go for 2, maybe 3 hours, and then you're done. And then you're out of the arena. It's not that bad, but when you are feeling up to it and you have big music festivals that go on for days and everything like that, that's kind of like what these big shows are. They're the biggest shows. They should kind of be almost like that music festival to go along with it. I mean, I took a look at Wrestle Kingdom and watched the entire thing from the New Japan Rumble all the way to the end for that one. And that was the first show that I had watched of New Japan, and that was a 6-hour show to go along with it. And so is WrestleMania at this point in time. Technically, it's a 7-hour show if you count the 2 hours for the pre-show. And who knows if they're going to add a 3rd hour to that now. I don't know what they're going to do. And then the main show was 5 hours to go along with it. So, what was it? New Japan, with their pre-show, was 1 hour long. And then a 5-hour main card to go along with that. Go along with everything on that one. So, you know, wrestling length has been like going up there. But then again, I kind of view those as almost like the music festival area. They're the shows that should go that long. But I was like, the little bits that I was watching of Sakura Genesis today, it was like, that's one of their bigger shows, yes. In the terms of everything, I mean, you have a world title match, everything to go along with that, but that one was going 4 hours long. You had the other side of everything, like you have a lot of the B pay-per-views for WWE going 3.5, 4 hours long now, and then of course you have 4-hour long guarantees for SummerSlam, Survivor Series, and the Rumble to go along with it. The show lengths are going extremely high, and it makes it a little bit harder to watch sometimes. Not gonna lie, it makes it a little bit harder to watch. So let's go into Smackdown, which is a 2-hour show. Good length. Good length, by the way, for that. And they started off basically with a video package from the week before, showing everything with Daniel Bryan being cleared, Owens and Zayn beating him down. And that took a good 5 minutes, which actually kind of took away the whole aspect of having to do a in-ring promo right afterwards, because they got right into a match. You had Bobby Roode and Randy Orton going up against Jinder Mahal and Rusev. And this was a fun tag team match. I thought it was a good one. Interesting how they played it off. Initially, they were saying it's like, oh, it's going to be Samil Singh and Jinder Mahal going up against Roode and Orton. And of course, Samil Singh comes out in a neck brace and a sling. Is like, no, after the beatdown, he can't go. So I found me a replacement. Out comes Rusev to giant pop, by the way, as well, to go along with it. Good stuff. Like I said, I thought it was good stuff and good match. Good back and forth on all sides here. You had basically the ending of the match where Randy Orton, or Bobby Roode, looked like Randy Orton was going to get the win, but Bobby Roode gets shoved into Orton, so kind of hitting Orton to go along with it. He gets mad at Roode, attacks Roode with an RKO, runs into a super kick from Rusev, and Rusev gets the pin. Why is it important to say that Rusev gets the pin? Well, the next segment actually kind of explains that. Mahal finds Rusev backstage, basically saying he wants to take him to WrestleMania, be in his corner, and everything for the triple threat match. And it's like, Rusev's like, no, actually I want more. I want more than just that. You're very generous, by the way, but I want more than that. So I'm going to go to Daniel Bryan and make it a fatal 4-way. And they eventually announce it later on the show that, yes, it is going to be a fatal 4-way for the United States title. Yes, Rusev is getting added to the match. Awesome. Awesome to go along with it. And news came out later in the week that apparently the reason for him being put in that match, and more likely it's going to be on the main card now, where a lot of people are thinking this match was going to be on the pre-show initially, that the reason why Rusev was put in this match was his original plan was going to be in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. But because of the whole Rusev Day stuff and the sales and everything to go along with that, it's like, no, he needs to be in this style match. So they put him in the U.S. title match, and now we have a Fatal 4-Way. So good stuff. Good stuff to go along with that. Up next, you had AJ Styles and Nakamura backstage. Basically, Nakamura comes in saying that, AJ, I want you in my corner for my match later in the night with Shelton Benjamin. And AJ's like, you know what? I want this match that badly that, sure, I'll be in there. I won't do it for you, but I'll do it for the aspect of wanting this match with you at WrestleMania. So it's like, sure, I'll be in your corner to go along with it. And playing it off that... Oh, actually, that was part of the promo afterwards. So we'll wait to talk about what they were doing after the match with Nakamura and Benjamin for a little bit later. Up next, you had Becky Lynch going up against Ruby Riott. And you got to add the extra T in there, which actually was a pretty good match. And they are actually kind of building up Becky Lynch in this one. Because it ended up being no help or anything on that side. Becky Lynch does pick up the win in the end with a roll-up. The Riott Squad come in to try to fight Becky Lynch. She ends up getting rid of the entire Riott Squad and throwing Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan over the top rope. It feels like they're building her to maybe winning the Battle Royal, or at least building her as one of the main contenders in the Women's Battle Royal. So it'll be interesting to see on that one. Afterwards, after this, you had Daniel Bryan come out. Basically says he's going to give Owens and Zayn one more opportunity. He even explains himself of why he gives them so many opportunities. It's like everything in their past, everything to go along with it. Like when he was not doing so well financially, it's like they gave him a bed and everything on that side, and basically ends out making the opportunity having a match with Owens and Zayn teaming up, going up against Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon. And they even play it off as like, yes, Shane McMahon was in the hospital sick, but I have under good authority that he's going to be at WrestleMania and be good to go. So he makes the match. And Bryan basically starts talking about what he does as general manager, is like having to wear these suits and having to do the paperwork and board meetings. He's sick of it, everything on that side, and that he's ready to fight. And basically playing it off as like, playing him as something different. I like how he even explains this, like, there are certain things I shouldn't say or do because I'm supposed to be a role model and this and that. It's like, screw it. It's like a different Daniel Bryan. He's just full on ready to fight mode. And he says he's going to basically beat, he's going to, what is it? The words that he basically says, like, I'm going to beat Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn's ass at WrestleMania. Decent stuff. I like kind of where they're going with Daniel Bryan on this one. At least to start off where they're, you know, having him cleared and everything to go along with that. And I like his motivation of why he would even want the match, even though he's been kind of on their side. It's because he had just gotten news that he had been cleared. And Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn tried to take it away from him to go along with it. So he wants the match. There you go. Up next, you had a promo from Benjamin and Gable. Basically on the match with Nakamura, Benjamin basically saying is like, he knows how this works. He knows how the whole system works. Is like, your opportunities aren't handed to you or given to you. You just take them. You got to make them and take them. And that's what they're going to do tonight. Nick, so basically that was what the promo was about. Up next was the New Day going up against the Bludgeon Brothers. This match did not go for too long. Bludgeon Brothers do win after the Usos come out and attack them, so basically setting up the disqualification. And afterwards, the Bludgeon Brothers basically chase off the New Day and the Usos with the mallets to go along with it, even like making it look like Harper was about to take off like Kofi's not necessarily his head, but like giving a good swing at Kofi as he ran. And they both left the area, kind of setting up the triple threat match for WrestleMania. Matter of fact, they do announce it later that it's going to be the Bludgeon Brothers going up against the New Day, going up against the Usos for the SmackDown Tag Team titles at WrestleMania. Again, we got a lot of matches coming. Up next, you had a match with Dolph Ziggler and Tyler Breeze. This was basically a comedy match, at least with Fandango, because eventually, like, Tyler Breeze was being chased by Dolph Ziggler on the outside of the ring, and you just have Fandango doing laps for the rest of the match, and he eventually tires out and like cramps up and everything. Dolph Ziggler ends out winning, beating Tyler Breeze right after that. He goes over to the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal trophy that was out there, so he's in the Battle Royal now. Wanting the main event, but ends out in the Battle Royal. Great. Great for Dolph on that one, right? And it's like talking about how he never had a one-on-one match at Mania, still ends up in the Battle Royal. And then he super kicks Fandango for good measure to go along with it. Nothing much to it, really. Nothing much to that at all. So this leads us to the main event for SmackDown, which was Shinsuke Nakamura going up against Shelton Benjamin. This was a fun match. Not that long of a match, but a fun, good match between both Shelton Benjamin and Shinsuke. Both of them kind of showing off a bit of their athleticism and everything on that side of everything. Again, probably not a full match, not full on pay-per-view quality or anything by that stretch of the imagination. Just a good match. Shelton Benjamin, not Shelton Benjamin, but Nakamura does go over in the end with a Kinshasa. And after the match, you know, AJ, like, basically Gable and Benjamin don't do anything, and then afterwards, like, Shinsuke brings them into the ring. Both of them, you know, and then sets up for promo time. He was like, it's like, I didn't need you out here. Shinsuke was like, I didn't need you out here. I just wanted you to be out here so I could show you in person how I'm going to beat you at WrestleMania. And then, of course, AJ and them kind of have a good back and forth. I like how Shinsuke is like, you've been lacking confidence recently. I don't like this. And of course, AJ's like, lacking confidence? I've never lacked confidence in any way. And then Shinsuke Nakamura is like, he plays it off that he's like, that AJ's too emotional, and Shinsuke Nakamura is just chill about everything to go along with it. So the reason he basically plays it off like the reason why he's going to beat AJ is that he's too emotional, taking too much into the match, and he needs to chill out. Benjamin and Gable do attack AJ afterwards. Nakamura comes back and gets rid of him, and basically then basically again kind of showing what he's going to do or what he's going to attempt to do at AJ. And I like how they do the little nuance of the storytelling for this one, because he runs in for a Kinshasa, stops, and then looks at AJ and is like, at WrestleMania, points at his knee, and then goes to the face and is like, to face, and kind of just brushes his hand in front of AJ's face to go along with it. I thought it was good. Good stuff, and I actually like that one. I thought that was a good way of going about it. It was a different way of really playing up the storyline of them. You don't really have a heel. You don't really have a full heel and a full baby face on this one. It's just a match. It's just a match to a certain degree. It's like, you know, the two of them are going to go out there and have a good, really, really good match, if not a great match, to go along with it. Or at least that's what we're hoping for. And yeah, some decent storytelling to go along with that. Basically, the two of them trying to show each other how they're going to beat the other one at WrestleMania. I like it. And that was how SmackDown ended out ending. Up next, I did actually get time to watch the Mixed Match Challenge again this week. So it was Sasha Banks and Finn Balor, the people who got voted in with the second chance vote for the Mixed Match Challenge, and it ended up being Bobby Roode, and since Charlotte was going to be out with the injury this week, it ended up being a temporary, and they even qualified it with a temporary replacement of Becky Lynch. So apparently Charlotte will be within the finals for next week with on that side. And yes, that is kind of spoil the match to go along with it. Roode and Lynch do go over in the end, which I thought was actually a good match. This is one of those little bits that they didn't play up the looser comedy type style. They did play up a little bit more of a serious match to it. I did like how Bobby Roode went to do Glorious, and then Finn Balor just two sweets him on his head to go along with it. I like that aspect. They do tell a little bit of a story with Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch as well. Banks goes to shake her hand. Becky's not thrilled what she has been doing with Bayley, so it's like, no, refuses it, everything on that side. The match ends with basically Sasha Banks kind of trying to go on a quick roll and even takes out Bobby Roode with a dive to the outside. Gets back in the ring to go after Becky Lynch, but gets caught with a roll-up, and they pick up the victory that way. I thought, again, it was a good match. Afterwards, Kurt Angle comes out, basically announced the finals of Miz and Asuka from Raw, and then from SmackDown it was going to be Bobby Roode and Charlotte Flair. So, not bad. I've been enjoying the Mixed Match Challenge. I thought it's been pretty good. Some pretty good stuff right now on that side. It's like a little bit of a extra non-canon type stuff. So this brings us now, though, into NXT for March the 28th, 2018. And this was an interesting NXT based off the fact that they tried to fit a lot into it, knowing that you only have a few more weeks for TakeOver, and you still kind of got to announce certain things, especially the factors of them announcing a new title for this show as well. And by a new title, I mean a new title championship belt to go along with it. And they announced the match and all the participants. So we ended up seeing Regal a lot more than we usually did this week. The beginning of the show has Tommaso Ciampa driving up to the arena. He refuses an interview from someone, but starts berating William Regal. He finds William Regal, berates him. He's like, dude, Johnny Gargano's been showing up at my house. He's been showing up here, and everything on that side. It's like, what are you going to do about it? And it's like, well, there's only one thing we really can do. Make an unsanctioned match. So he makes a match with Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, which are going to be an unsanctioned match. The rules are that if Gargano wins, he gets his job back. If he loses, he's banished from NXT for good. So kayfabe-wise, he lost his job, but wasn't banished from NXT, so he could technically buy a ticket. So apparently, this one kind of banishes him from ever showing up on NXT ever again in any way, shape, or form. Like, he couldn't purchase a ticket to come sit as a fan or anything to go along with that. So that should be a good match. That should be a really good match. So afterwards, William Regal comes out and basically announces the new championship. The North American Championship. So basically they're playing off of a lot of the other regions. Like, we have the UK title, so it seems like they're trying to make championships for a lot of the regions. Now they're making a North American Championship, basically a mid-card belt for a lot for a lot of these other players. Like, they have a lot of names and a lot of good talent in there. They need to be fighting over something other than, like, they have enough people to kind of say, yeah, we've got people fighting over the main title, but we have this other title as well that they can be fighting over as well. This has him get interrupted by EC3. Yes, EC3 is now in the WWE side, and they are keeping him as EC3. They're not, they don't make mention of him being Ethan Carter III, but they do still keep the initials EC3 to go along with it. And he starts gloating how he is like, Regal, it's like, I knew you were generous, but dude, awarding me a championship on the first night? It's like just playing off that he was going to get awarded the title. And this is when Regal says, it's like, you can be in the match because you are one of the best in North America, but there's going to be 5 others. And it's going to be a ladder match at TakeOver for the title, which we do end up seeing throughout the rest of the evening as well, who ends up being in that match. Up next, though, you had TM61 being interviewed, and they were kind of just saying not too much, like they were talking about how the mighty don't kneel and everything in that side, but you see in the background, and they do play this off well in NXT. I will give them this one. They do play this off well. Like, they have this whole aspect of someone getting interviewed, but they're doing something in the background that also catches your eye. So you have Shayna Baszler arguing with Serena Deeb over something, and then all of a sudden Ember Moon shows up. So the camera is like, hold on, and then just runs away from TM61, and by the time he gets over there, the both of them are brawling. They eventually have to get pulled apart to go along with it. It was a pretty good setup for what they were trying to go for. And continuing on with the feud of Baszler and Ember Moon to go along with it. So that was a pretty good segment. I mean, overall as a show, like, this was kind of one of those things that they were lacking in the terms of actual in-ring action, but because they knew they had to kind of set up a lot more stuff going into the NXT TakeOver. So that's kind of where it was. So this show is kind of lacking in the terms of the in-ring action. Up next, you had the Street Profits going up against the Authors of Pain, and what was actually a fairly short match. And apparently, Montez Ford has been working with like some kind of injury, so this is kind of why he didn't do much in this match to go along with it. So they played it off in the match, like both like the Street Profits gain a little bit of control, but Montez Ford is kind of doing this whole thing where he's having a lot of fun and gets fully distracted. He gets over to Paul Ellering, and he has the solo cup with him. He offers it to Ellering, and Ellering just slaps it out of his hands, like, and of course this kind of pisses off Montez Ford. He starts backing down Ellering, which actually allows the Authors of Pain to hit the final chapter on D'Angelo Dawkins and pick up the victory, and they move on to the finals of the Dusty Classic. Like I said, it was a rather short match. It was fine for what it was, but again, like in the terms of the in-ring action this week, it did feel like it was lacking a little bit. Up next, you had William Regal. Like I said, we see Regal a lot more than we usually do this week because he was announcing all the participants in separate segments for the North American title. So in this segment, he announces Adam Cole for the ladder match. Adam Cole not in the picture or anything on that side, but he announces him in the match, and then the Velveteen Dream shows up and it's like, making the North American Championship. That's a great announcement, and it'll be a great match, but it won't be an experience. So you need to add the experience of the Velveteen Dream, and it's like, okay, you're in the match. Okay, we'll roll with that one. And of course, he thanks Regal, and it's like, you've just made this like even greater to go along with it. I do like how the Velveteen Dream comes off. He, like, in the terms of the name, I was a little bit weirded out by it. I wish they would have kind of been keeping the Patrick Clark name around, but this whole thing with Velveteen Dream, how he plays off with his mannerisms and everything on that side, trying to create an experience for everybody to go along with it. I like it where they're going with it. So, up next, you had Lars Sullivan going up against jobber named John Silver. Quick match, squash match. Basically, Lars Sullivan destroys on this one, which does lead again to a William Regal segment where he runs into Lars Sullivan. He announces him for the ladder match, and I like how Lars Sullivan plays this off as like being this monster who's very articulate about everything, and he comes off really, really good about basically everything on that side of it. I think it does come off really, really well. He comes off as articulate, but he's a massive force in the terms of being destructive to go along with everything. And basically in the promo, he's like, good, I like that aspect. I can bring a destruction to NXT TakeOver the only way that I can. But he also wants Killian Dane. So he's like, well, you're in luck. one, killing Danes in the ladder match. Two, that you get to have them next week. So basically, they're making the one-on-one match for next week. Probably ends in some kind of schmaz or something like that. I don't know, but we'll see how it goes. But I thought that was a pretty good segment. Like, I know we got a lot of talking in NXT this week and not much in the terms of action, but I thought this was a pretty good one. So Dakota Kai comes out. Yes, Dakota Kai comes out. It looks like she was going to have a match that ends out not taking place because, well, all of a sudden they cut to the back, and all of a sudden Aleister Black is getting beaten down by Andrade Cien Almas. You know, he starts dragging him into the arena, continuing the beat down, throws him into the door, brings him into the arena, throws him into the ring, and eventually lays him out with a couple of chair shots and standing over Aleister Black as kind of the de facto, like, last guy standing, everything to go along with that. You have Zelina Vega basically not egging him on, but like promoting him throughout the entire thing to go along with it. I thought this was a pretty good segment, a pretty good beatdown, though they played it off that like his like Aleister Black's clothes were torn up and everything, though they don't look like natural cuts for the clothes. It's like someone take the scissors to the clothes and that's what we'll do type thing to it. But that was a little bit of a silly thing, but I liked what they did in this whole aspect of, you know, Aleister Black hasn't really been shown a lot in the facet of being the one in danger all that often, so they need to kind of show that a little bit here. Like, you know, Andrade Cien Almas is going to be a dangerous force for Aleister Black going into their title match at NXT TakeOver. So I actually did like this segment for everything that it was on that one. It was a good way of, you know, having Andrade be over as a force towards Aleister Black and everything to go along with that. So I thought it came off pretty good. So this led us to the main event match of the evening, which was Roderick Strong and Pete Dunne going up against Sanity, and this was a good match. This was definitely a good match, and I like what they're doing here with Pete Dunne and Roderick Strong. So they played off the whole time as like, how are these two going to work together? How are these two working together and everything on that side? They're just a new team. And like you see for like the last couple of matches over the two matches over the last couple of weeks, that like the two of them work together to set up the other ones, you know, either finisher or moves or anything to go along with that. And you had good bits from like last week where Pete Dunne takes the guy, chucks him to Roderick Strong, who sets up the backbreaker, and I thought it was like some good setup to go along with it. I thought it came off really good on that side of everything, and you get that here in this match as well. Both teams working a pretty good, fast-paced match. I thought it was a very entertaining match. It's something worth actually going back and looking at and watching in the terms of match quality and everything, but the kind of story of how, you know, Pete Dunne and Roderick Strong are trying to work together. They're a new team that's kind of like built out of a little bit of respect from the match that they had over the UK title to go along with it. The ending of the match had Roderick Strong basically setting up the bitter end, and they even have the great thing is they play off of the words of both of their finishers. So you have Pete Dunne's the bitter end, and then you have Roderick Strong the end of heartache. So now they call the finisher where he sets up to go into the bitter end for Pete Dunne the bitter end of heartache. It was good. It was good. He chucks them, he throws them up in the air like he would for the end of heartache. He has it land into the bitter end. I thought it was pretty good. It was a pretty good way of going, and I like the way that they've been kind of having Roderick Strong and Pete Dunne playing off of each other. They're trying to show is like, yeah, they're foes to a certain degree, but like, hey, here's this other goal to go after as well, and we're willing to work together to gain that goal of winning the Dusty Cup and then winning the tag team titles. I liked it. So the end of the show. And, well, we got one debut earlier with EC3. showing up. And you had William Regal backstage, and he gets met up by Kathy Kelly one more time. It's like, so do you have the final person who's going to be in the North American Championship? It's like, well, you're in luck. We just finalized the final one. I'll send him out to you. Lo and behold, who shows up but freaking Ricochet? Oh man, I've been watching some stuff of Ricochet. I know I'm not one that watches a lot of independent programming in the terms of wrestling. So some of these guys that do come in, I don't get to see unless if I've kind of read something about, oh, they're coming in. Let me watch some stuff. I've watched a little bit more of Ricochet on the whole aspect that I have actually gone back and watched a good chunk. By a good chunk, I mean at least the first 2 seasons of Lucha Underground. So I've seen his work with Prince Puma, but I've also seen some of the other stuff that he's been working with as well. I have seen his matches with Will Ospreay, which were, in the terms of their athleticism, is like extremely good. This guy, really good. Gets good pop from the crowd to go along with it when he appears. Says, it's like, yeah. It was basically, guy gives that look on his face, is like, see you at TakeOver. Yeah, that's right. I'm here. Some good stuff. I like that whole aspect of it. Like I said, NXT this week was kind of, it was lacking with in-ring, but we got to see the debut for WWE side with EC3 and everything that he had done over in Impact that I had known of before. I do like his theme. I like how he gets a kick out of his theme song, being like the whole 1% thing and everything to go along with that. And you know, that was kind of his gimmick to begin with in Impact Wrestling, even to the fact that his finisher was called the 1%er. But also Ricochet showing up and now going to be on NXT TakeOver. Good stuff. Good stuff on that side. That match should be really, really good to go along with it. And that is pretty much everything this week. Don't really have much in the terms of anything else. We kind of went over the news stuff at the beginning. Not too much in the terms of news actually coming out. I'll go off and say in the terms of programming on this channel, especially with the whole WrestleMania stuff and coming up and everything, we're going to have a lot of content next week in the terms of WrestleMania side. You know, expect predictions probably for both NXT TakeOver and for WrestleMania. And of course, I'm going to do a simulation show as well, where we go through the WrestleMania matches. I don't know if I'm going to do TakeOver quite yet, but we'll definitely see on that side of everything if I do simulations for TakeOver to go along with it. And there's going to be a couple other things going on. I will be talking a little bit more about the programming of next week. That's kind of the stuff on the wrestling side. I'll be talking a little bit more about the programming for next week on my weekend preview, which I will be doing here very soon. It is a Sunday evening at this time. I'll probably film that one. I'll go off and say this. Be looking forward to me announcing a giveaway. And a matter of fact, it will probably go up as of my weekend preview going out at that time. So be prepared for that coming up this week. And yeah, like I said, that is this week's episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle. For people who tuned in during the live session, I thank you guys for watching and doing everything on that side. For the people who are watching this later, again, I thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoy everything and the content that's going to be coming out to you next week as well. We're going to have a good chunk of it. You know, it's WrestleMania week, so it's going to be a lot for next week. And I hope you guys end out enjoying everything that comes down that way. So with that being said, again, I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.